Hi guys, this is the Betamax man. This is a customer's machine. This is an HF360, and yes, I just done one of these not too long ago, last week. I actually bought one on eBay and repaired it and sold it. It's been shipped out. So this is another one. Now this one has the painted top. The one that I had was a plastic top, but this one's got metal. It's because this is the older one. The one that I had was a little bit newer. So there was like I think it was 1 year newer than this one. This one's probably 86, and the one I had was probably from 87. But we have an issue. So the complaint is audio distortion. I have not heard any audio distortion, but I do see some noise in the picture. The picture quality is very poor. Actually, the picture is okay except for those noise bars. See the picture, and I'll show you what that is, and I'll tell you how to fix that problem. If you've got one of these and it's doing that, I'll show you how to fix it, because I actually went through, I had one of these and I recapped the video board, I recapped the head amp. I couldn't figure out what the heck was it. So let me show you. Okay, that's that crackling sound. Okay, he's not hearing distortion. He's hearing crackling. But you see those bars that are appearing? And then there's a crackling sound. Also, if you look, the color is off. So we probably need to go into the either the head amplifier or probably the chroma processing. It might be the chroma board that needs some replacement on the caps. But that's what it's doing, and we're gonna fix it. I'm gonna get my iron. We need to get my soldering iron nice and hot. Yeah, that was my dadgum soldering iron. Huh. So let's get my iron hot, and while I'm waiting for that, here's what it is. Believe it or not, it's caused by bad capacitors on the capstan motor, and that's what's causing this issue. Now, opposed to the color issue, it could be on the chroma board, and that's probably why there is discoloration. But we need to repair the crackling in the picture issue. So let's go ahead and we'll flip this. We'll flip this up on its. I took all the screws out. With these machines, you can loosen the screws and take the bottom right off. So what I'm gonna do. Okay. Now, first we need to unplug the machine. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. There we go. It's now unplugged. Okay. And I'm gonna show you what's going on. These surface mounted electrolytics are failing or have failed because these are responsible. Now, what I'm going to do is, so I know where, okay, so the negative is the flat spot, and the curved part is the positive. Now, these are 16 volt at 47 microfarad electrolytics capacitors. So we'll change these. So what we need to do, and I'll show you, let's get my, find my, there it is. Okay, here's what you do. You just take your needle nose pliers and grab a hold of it, okay, and give it a good turn. And then yank it off, and there you go. So now what we'll do is add solder to the leaves, and then we'll tack on the cap. And this has a Toshiba IC chip in it. This chip right here is what controls the speeds of the capstan. This is the 711B3 chassis. So they used this mechanism. It was the capstan, and it also drove the take-up and supply reels. Okay, so we got that off. Just take these off. We're just gonna we'll just pull them off. Okay. That one came off really easy. And when they come off easy like that, usually they've been leaking. They look like they've been leaking, so but the board is dry, so probably not. Well, it might. Well, they're surface mounted, so they have that plastic piece under them, so they might have, you know, leaked onto the black plastic piece on the bottom, but the board is nice and clean. Sometimes what I like to do is take some contact cleaner and clean the tips, but we can just solder onto it, and if we solder some solder onto those leads, we'll burn off any of the contaminated solder from like a leaky capacitor. We'll just do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll put a little bit of the solder on each of the tips, and we'll just put a nice little pool, a little dot. Okay, and then you take your leads, you heat the solder up, and then let it put the cap where you put the lead where you want it. Let it sit for about 2 seconds, and then let go, and it'll be soldered. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So what I'll do is put some solder on those leads, and I'll show you what it looks like, and then we can just put them on. So I just got some new caps in today. So the other night I used 25 volt to get it working, but I gotta put a 16 back in it because you don't want to go, you don't want to go up on the voltage, or you don't want to go up on the, you want to make sure your microfarad is the same. You can go up a little bit on the voltage, but I don't like to do that. So but we're gonna put the proper ones in. So these are 16 volt at 47. Okay, so this is what you want. just make a little bit of, just make a little ball out of solder. Now, be very, very careful. Some people will take this piece out before they do that, because if you touch this with your soldering iron, you'll damage it and you'll ruin the motor. Also, don't touch the integrated circuit here. You'll also screw the motor up by hitting that. So when you're doing this, just be very careful. Or, if you want, you can take this off. Now, this plastic piece, it just pops right off like that, see? And then you can take this off. Now you'll have to take this screw out for the bracket right here, okay? So, if you wanted to go that route, you can. It's probably the better way to do it, because that way you won't take a chance of accidentally touching it. So, okay, now what I'm going to do is I've got the lead nipped off. I nipped off the leads, and we're just going to we'll put it on. So we'll heat it up, and we'll just tack them into place, and then we'll turn it back over, and we will play the tape, and we should see a difference as far as the noise problem and the video problem. Okay, well, we've got our capacitors tacked in, and we'll go ahead and we'll fire it up, and we'll see if we get any results. I'm pretty sure we will, because I've had this problem with my ED beta, and I've had this problem with another SL HF360. Now, my ED beta, you know, that one was a pain in the butt, because that one I had multiple problems I had to repair. But Sony seems to use these ELNA capacitors, and the ELNA capacitors, they were junk. They were bad. So let's get the so we'll get the top on. So I'm just making sure that the top is gonna clear. I just don't want my top, you know, hitting these. So I think I'll just bend them down a little bit, and that way they, yeah, so there we go. And that way oop, I think I had a lead that just came off. Hold on. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. It's okay. Alright. Yeah, it's okay. So, okay. So, let's put the top on, and we'll flip it over, and we'll see what happens here. Okay. Let's get the tape in, and we'll see what our results are. Ready? Okay, we still have the same problem. So what we'll do, let's go into the head amplifier, because it's going to be in the head amp. So we'll do that on another video. But our sound is better, but we still have those lines. Usually doing that to the capstan motor usually repairs it, but in this case it didn't. So what we need to do is get into the head amplifier and replace, but we're also, I think I will, because we're still getting some static. So the head amp probably needs to be recapped. But I think we need to check the audio board as well. So, because our audio board is probably needing to be capped, because I still am hearing some crackling. So, yeah. Now, the HiFi audio is recorded with the video head. So the video head actually records the HiFi audio track. And now if we had a tape that was in mono, we probably wouldn't hear any crackling in the sound. I thought that maybe the capstan motor was the reason for it, because I've had this happen on my SLHF that 360, but also the ED Beta, the EDV 7300 I think it was, but it had that symptom. And when I recapped that capstan motor, and it went away, and I thought it was going to help this one, but it didn't. So we still have some issues, so we need to get in the head amp. So what I'm going to do is pull the top off, and we'll get into the head amp. So this plate will just lift right up. Okay. Alright, so this just comes right off. This is the head amplifier right in here. What I'm going to do, I want to plug it in, and I want to touch certain spots on the head amp to see if our problem goes away, because it could be just a dry joint, but I don't know. So we're going to find out if it's a dry joint or if it's a capacitor issue. We're going to plug it back in because I unplugged it. Okay. Yeah, it's worse without the shield. So the shielding plate has to go on there. Hear it? That's the head amp. See? Hear it? Yeah, so our problem is in the head amplifier. Now, I think we do have some dry joint problems. However, if we are going to, if we're gonna reflow the solder, I think we might as well just go ahead and replace them. That's probably the best thing to do, I think. Yeah, our head amp. Yeah, we've got an issue in the head amp. So, what we'll do is we gotta take the front faceplate, has to come off. We take the 2 screws out, and we can replace the capacitors and then that should fix our issue, and without the shielding. So make sure you put the shield back on, because this shield helps eliminate electrical interference. You'll get noise in the picture if you don't have this back on. So make sure you put this thing back on, because that's very important. So what we'll do is, there's 2 screws on the bottom we got to remove. So we've got to completely remove the 2 screws. You remember these ones? I'll show you. These 2 screws, they have to be removed in order for this to come off. Now, there's also going to be a ribbon cable. It's going to be hooked up to a ribbon cable. We disconnect the ribbon cable, and then we can lift this and we can get to those capacitors. Okay, so I'm just putting the shield back on. This particular model doesn't have a ribbon cable like I thought, but the SL340, the 390, the 300, and the 330 does. Also the SLS600 has a ribbon cable, but this one don't. So, okay. So as you can see, I've resoldered some brand new capacitors. So all of the capacitors have been changed in the head amplifier. So we're now ready to go ahead and put our shield back on, and we should have results. If we don't have any results, then the probably is going to be in the IC, because that does happen sometimes. And if the IC has an issue, then you've got to get one and solder it in. So I'm not really sure. Yeah, I'm just making sure this shielding is on there. There we go. I'm just making sure the shield is on there, nice and solid, because that shielding is what it helps to get rid of electronic interference or video noise. So we gotta put the front cover back on. There's 2 screws. There's one there and one over here. Here's the front cover. It's really dusty and kind of dirty, so but I'll clean this later. Right now I just want to get it put back in so that I can see if it works or not. So let's just get this one back on here. It should go on pretty easily. I think it's good now. Okay. Just making sure that the buttons are on. Make sure all the clips are on right. Now what I'll do is we'll plug it in, and we'll see if we've got any results. We should have results. It should work. It should fix that issue. That is weird. Our audio is fine. What's this dude tracking here? Yeah, we're gonna have to figure it out. It might even be the tape too. There it goes. It's better. That's better, but we're still getting some interference, but could be the IC chip has went bad too. So we'll have to look into this, but at least our audio is fine now. Our audio is good. Our tracking is, you know, a little off, but that could be the tape too. But we've got good audio now.
A certain man.
What man? When were these arrangements made? Governor, I should handle these things for you, for your protection.
Keep your voice down. Clive, different problems require different measures. This region is a hotbed of trouble, and to think of falling...
But Governor, don't you realize it may be dangerous?
Nevertheless, I have my work to do.
Yeah, it's better.
I want you to see to it that no one comes looking for me. I must meet this man, Clive. And I must meet him on his own terms.
Yes, sir.
Our audio is now fine, but our we're still having some issues with the video.
Good morning, Padre.
So maybe we'll just
Have they arrived? Would you like to rest in our library?
just trying to think of what it could be. But at least we've restored the audio.
We do not have a great many books, but in the library there's always something of interest.
Our color is not distorted anymore. Our color is actually the correct color now too. So we did a good job by you know, putting stuff in there. So at least we have good audio now. You know, and I don't know if I'll ever track down. I think that IC might be bad. Or going bad. That those integrated circuits, you know, once in a while they'll go bad. So, but I could probably, but I've got it to where it has good audio, so we could probably get it working, and I can let the owner know that I think that the IC chip has went out, and we need to get a new one. The part itself is probably not too expensive, so but I'm pretty sure, I think that IC, because I was touching the IC, maybe I'll just try resoldering. You know, I could do that. I could reflow the solder on the IC chip. Sometimes that's what it is. Sometimes it's just a dry joint. So, you know, maybe the chip's not bad. It's probably just a dry joint. But now, you can see it's, you know, playing better. We got audio is good, but we're still getting some of those little flashes in the picture. So, in our just checking to see if this is fully engaged, which it is. But you know, I've had an issue where I've replaced those capacitors on the capstan motor, and it's gotten rid of those little lines. So I'm actually, but yeah, I do think, I really believe that there's something going on with the IC. So what I could do is I could try and reflow the solder and see if that works. But for right now, this is going to be part 1. Part 2 is coming. I still have to do part 2 of the HF360, which I should be able to get to one of these days. Hopefully within the next 3 days I'll have that one going, but you know, sometimes it does take a little while to figure out what's going on, you know. So, but I can do a control amp. It's got a lot of, it's got some dry joints. I'm just touching areas here and see if I can get so yeah, I think now we could also go into the on the video board and see if there might be some capacitors that might have failed as well. But Sony used a lot of ELNA capacitors. Watch what happens when I press. See that? That's the control amplifier. Could be in the, yeah. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. At least we corrected the sound issue. our sound problem was actually the HiFi audio track. So the HiFi audio in the head amp was giving us some trouble, so we've recapped them. But when I press on that IC, so I'll try that first, but we'll do that in another video. I will reflow some of the solder on that IC. I know I've repeated myself several times. I'm sorry. Sometimes I tend to do that. So, anyway, I still gotta do a video on how to time Beta Machine because I had a request for it. And I told him I would do a video. I just haven't got around to it yet. So, maybe this weekend I can do that. So, anyway guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Here's the audio board. I'm going to recap the audio board and see if there's any change. I'm not sure why this machine is not responding to what I did to it. But we'll recap the audio board and then we'll see what happens. We'll see if that makes any difference. We've recapped the head amplifier. You know, there's other things I can do to try to get this thing up and going. But we'll try that. Well, it's fixed. I've actually got it going again, so let's hit play. See? No video noise. Working really good. We're very happy with this one. This is repaired. It's ready to go back, and we have fast forward. Okay. We have reverse. Working good. It's fixed. Ready to go, guys. So, how did I repair it? Well, let me show you. Had a lot of bad capacitors. So the capacitors that were bad were, okay, these. I replaced every capacitor on this circuit board right here. This circuit board is responsible for the color, and it does other things too besides the color. But this chip right here, this circuit board, all the caps were bad. Every single cap in there was bad. We replaced all the capacitors in the head amplifier. I even replaced all the capacitors here in the audio. So I can go ahead and unplug it. It's unplugged now, so now we can show you what we did here. But we've replaced these two capacitors. All the capacitors in the head amplifier have been replaced. These capacitors have been replaced. So the audio, the head amp, this little circuit board here, they've all been changed. And that is all that was needed to fix it. There are some ELNA capacitors on the board, and I might go ahead and change out some of these ELNA capacitors, because these ELNA caps, they go bad. So ELNA was one of the worst manufacturers of capacitors, because something happened with the chemistry, and I don't know what happened exactly, but I do know that ELNA capacitors, they're always bad. Either they're leaking or they're bad. So, and I've had there were some leaky ELNA capacitors on this circuit board as well. So the original capacitors were green. So they're a green color. So if you're having this issue that this one has, and you're wanting to look at this circuit board, the original ones are going to be green. So if you're looking at yours and it has all green caps, that means it's original. So this thing has not been serviced by anybody other than me, as far as I know. The owner, you know, said that I'm the only technician that's worked on this particular machine. So yeah, so we're pretty happy with the results. I was getting discouraged because I couldn't figure out what was going on. Oh yeah, as you know, we've already recapped the capstan motor circuit board. So we've recapped that. So this is really ready to go back. I'm not really going to do anything else to it. I might change out a few ELNAs, but other than that, this thing's gonna go back together. So these here's an ELNA. There's a lot of ELNAs, you know, and these ELNA capacitors, you know, they go bad. So probably just replace them, and you know, but that's it. I think all we'll do now is put it back together, because she's working. So once she's all back together, and I'll show you what this machine looks like when it's all back together. So gotta do some cleaning. There's some dust and dirt. If dust gets on this purplish plastic piece, dust gets on it, it can make the display look cloudy or bad, you know. So we'll clean that. There's a little bit of dust here and there, but we're gonna clean it. So this front face is perfect condition. So, but this is a nice machine. This happens to a lot of the 360s. I've had a couple of the 360s that had that same issue, but you know, by replacing the caps on the capstan motor, I was able to eliminate that. But on this particular one, I wasn't, and no matter what I did, I couldn't get it going. But when we done that, once I done that circuit board, this is a little modular chip. you know, it started working again. So, and you just adjust the tracking until you get a good picture, and which we did. So we have a good picture. So we're good to go now. This one, like I said, I'm gonna put it back together. I'll put a little bit of grease. I'll put a little fresh grease on the gears here, and I'll put a little fresh grease on the worm gear, and send this one. Oh yeah, and I'll clean the heads, and then we'll send this back to the owner. The owner will be happy and glad to know that his machine is now working and fixed. Here she is, all put back together. And we got this different tape here. Cabaret, I believe the name is Cabaret. And this is a Sony cassette, which tracks better than the other tape. Some tapes you have to turn the tracking a little bit to get the picture quality to improve. This one tracks pretty good though. Yeah, this one tracks a lot better than the other one. But this one's a very, very old tape. This tape is wore out, kind of, but it's not wore out, but the picture isn't as good as it should be. You know, due to just wear and tear, you know, playing it multiple times. This is a strange movie, but I actually found this tape in stuck in a machine that I repaired, and then I purchased the cover for it. I bought a VHS just so I can have the cover. I had a free little slip cover adapter, so it'll go in the VHS case. And then I put the Beta logo on the side there, because, you know, that way I could have the movie and I can have the cover as well, and it looks complete. And because at the end of Beta they did use VHS covers, you cannot tell that this was a VHS cover. I put my Beta logo on there, and I put the Beta symbol right there. So it's yeah, so there we go. That's it. She's ready to go back. She's all nice and cleaned, and I mean, not cleaned, but fixed, and I cleaned the video heads. So, but it's working good, you know. The audio is now good. We've got rid of the video noise in the picture. There's some, you know, dropouts because this tape has been watched many, many times. But you can see they go away eventually. Just depends on, you know, this tape has been watched a lot. But I'm happy with that result, and I think the customer is going to be happy as well. So, or not customer, owner. The owner, sorry. I get used to saying customer because most of these machines I bring in are ones that I bought and sold. But this was a customer's machine, so. Customer's name is Marty. And Marty has brought me at least 5 or 6 beta machines to repair. So I'm sure he'll be quite happy to hear from me. He'll be happy to know that his SO HF360 has been repaired. And his bill is going to be around $100 because he's got to pay for the 3 hours of labor plus the $10 in parts, because we put a lot of capacitors in this thing. There's a lot of caps that went into this thing, so anyway, we'll reset the counter. There we go. I'll just turn it off now and unplug it. I'll wind the cord back up and put this thing back in a box and ship it back to the owner, and the owner should be happy. And thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe and all that good stuff to get updates on new videos that I post. Bye-bye.